Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
Telephone conversation about booking a venue for a private event. You have 30 seconds to look at questions 1 to 10.
This is George and Dragon. How may I help?
Hi, I'm calling to inquire about your upstairs venue. I'm interested in booking it for a private event, and I was wondering if I could ask a few questions.
Yes, of course. Just give me a second, please. So, before we start, could I please get a name and phone number?
Yes, my name is Clara Carlton.
Carly, could you spell that for me, please?
Sure, it's Carleton.
And the phone number?
Well, I'm going to give you my work number as I'm booking the venue for a work event.
Right.
So it's 020-8322-1479.
Great. So, what would you like to know?
Well, I saw on your website that the price can be from £20 per hour, so I would like to get an exact quote if possible.
Well, the price depends on the type of event, the date, and the number of people, and whether we will be providing food as well.
Oh, it's for a retirement party for one of my colleagues.
Okay. And for which date is that?
Well, we were thinking next Tuesday, the 31st of May.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, but the venue's already booked that day. We're free on Monday and Wednesday, if that would suit you.
Well, Wednesday's no good, because the gentleman who's retiring will be gone by then. But Monday works just as fine.
Great. You'll get a cheaper rate for Monday, too.
Excellent.
And how many people will there be?
Well, at the moment it's supposed to be 16, but it might go up to 17. We're waiting for one of our co-workers to confirm whether they'll be available that night or not.
The boardroom in the venue only has space for 15 people, I'm afraid. We've got enough standing room for about 15 extra people. Is that all right?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine. We won't be sitting down much anyway. Would it be possible to provide 2 extra chairs just in case, though?
Yes, of course.
Great.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions
And finally, will you be needing us to provide food as well?
Well, we'll be bringing the cake, but I imagine that yes, we will be ordering some food as well. What are your options for nibbles?
Well, we've got quite a vast selection depending on which type of menu you're interested in. We've got meat-based tapas, as well as some vegetarian and vegan options, and we've also got some sharers.
Well, as far as I know, none of us are vegans, so I don't think we'll be needing that. Some meat-based and vegetarian options would be great, though.
Would you like me to talk you through them, or...?
Well, you do have the menu online, right?
Yeah, you can find it on our website. The only thing is that a couple of options have been removed and replaced with new ones, and we haven't had the chance to update it online yet.
Okay, let me just pull it up on my screen. Just a second. All right.
So, in the meat-based food section, the dishes that have been discontinued are the mini fajitas and the pulled pork bruschetta.
Oh, that's a shame. The pulled pork bruschetta looked really nice.
Yeah, but we've replaced them with two new really popular dishes. We've got a trio of sliders, which is 3 mini burgers, made one each with chicken, beef, and pulled pork, and we've also got ham and cheese croquettes.
Oh, that sounds nice. So I'll have 7 of the mini burgers then. I see you've also got vegetarian croquettes. Are they still in the menu?
Yeah, we've got the vegetable croquette and the potato croquette.
And how many croquettes are there in each dish?
The vegetable one is 5, the potato one is 4.
Okay, so I'll have 2 of the vegetable croquettes, and I'll also have 2 of the ham and cheese ones, please.
Great. Anything else?
Well, I don't know. It all looks so nice. What would you recommend?
Well, what I would recommend is the simmered squid. It's slow cooked in wine and served with potatoes. I'd also recommend the hummus platters. Our chef actually makes his own hummus, and it's one of our most popular sharers. And of course, all of our salads, especially the Caesar salad, we're famous for them.
Right. So I'll go for 5 hummus platters, or should I get 6? No, you know what? 5 is just fine. I won't be having any of the squid. It sounds lovely, but I'm just not sure how popular it would be with my colleagues.
Yeah, fair enough.
And finally, 1 Caesar salad and 1 vegetarian, the goat's cheese one.
Great. And just for the final question, for how many hours would you be booking the venue?
Well, we'd be arriving straight after work, so somewhere around 7 p.m. And I'd expect we'd need it until at least 9 p.m, maybe even 10 p.m, so...
So 3 hours?
Well, probably. But let's make it 4 just in case.
Right. Great. So just give me a minute and I'll get back to you with a quote, all right?
Yes, of course.
Hi. So I spoke to my manager, and the total with the food and a drink starter for 17 people would come up to £318.95.
Okay.
But he'd be happy to offer you a 5% discount, which would bring the total down to just £303. And that includes a pint of any beer, a glass of wine, or fizzy drink for each person.
Okay. That sounds reasonable enough. Let's go for it.
Right. So I would just need a deposit of...
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a parent educator talking about childhood accidents. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16.
I'm sure you are all aware that babies, infants, and children are exposed to an enormous number of potentially serious accidents all the time. Accidents where vehicles are involved are always awful, but particularly so when children are injured. Now, of course, most should never happen, but unfortunately, the casualty lists increase every year. It still surprises me that so many youngsters fall from shopping carts, for example. With small children, however, the highest proportion of accidents will occur inside the house or in the backyard. Many of the risks are obvious, but are often ill-considered, even in well-organized homes. Older children are exposed to a greater number, for they are also open to the hazards of the adult world. This should be kept well in mind by parents. Education is vital. There are some very good television shows which do the job quite well, but children should be educated from the moment they learn to crawl. And so I'd say the best teachers are parents, who can instill safety habits in the responsive minds of their children by constant repetition. In this way, they will gradually learn to avoid the danger zones. Of course, if they go to preschool, there'll be fewer hazards there, but I'm going to cover a few of the important household areas now. Firstly, kitchen hazards. The family kitchen is actually no place for a child, although children may spend a lot of time there with their mothers. All I can say is never leave saucepans on stoves with their handles jutting out. It's easy for little hands to seize hold of them, and adults can even catch themselves on them too. Scalding is a serious issue for grown-ups and children alike. If you are transporting dangerous items about the kitchen, always look to see where children are standing. Hot items are naturally high risk. Cooking with an infant at your feet can be very dangerous. Be careful with sharp and heavy objects as well. And not the least of dangers is treading on the child, or their hands or feet at any rate. Let's move on to poisoning now. An amazing number of household items are potentially lethal to babies but are often carelessly left around. Bleach, drain cleaner, and similar items should be kept out of reach of infants, who have no idea of their risks. And a word of warning here, never reuse juice bottles as containers for lethal fluids, and never leave these items within access of infants. Playground equipment deserves a mention too. Even in the most skillfully designed playground, accidents occur. We all enjoy the seesaws, but do make sure that they are evenly balanced. Personally, I don't understand the attraction of the roundabout. It makes me feel sick to my stomach. But the little ones enjoy the ride. Swings are great fun, but children just don't understand the danger of a swing suddenly coming back and striking a standing child. The results are often big bruises or even broken bones. Fractured skulls are the worst playground injuries I've seen, and these are common when young ones fall from a height such as the top of a climbing frame. I think the slides are much safer. Whatever your preference, though, be sure to keep a watchful eye on your children in the playground.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
We are up to bath time now. You know that you should never leave a baby alone in a bath, because it's possible for babies to drown in a few centimeters of water. But how many of you have been tempted to go and grab the phone when it rings? My advice to you is to let it ring. And remember when you're filling the bath to put cold water in before the hot to prevent severe scalding, in case baby climbs in before it's ready. Moving on to electrical dangers, first of all, power points. These have a fascination for toddlers, and they'll shove things into the holes like hairpins, nails, screwdrivers, you name it. Points should always be fitted with protective plugs to prevent this. Teach children to respect all electrical appliances because they are all potential hazards. Do I need to mention cigarettes? Unfortunately, I still see parents smoking in spaces where their children have to inhale the cigarette smoke. We all know the dangers of secondhand smoke. But even leaving a packet of cigarettes within reach is dangerous, because eating just one cigarette may poison a small child. If quitting the habit is too difficult, please ensure all tobacco products are kept out of reach and smoke outside. Lastly, given our cold winters, I need to warn you about heating systems. Open fires and heaters must be covered by protective devices. Even radiators and other sources of heat, which are attractive to children, can cause a nasty burn on sensitive young skin. Remember, there is never a good time to leave infants by themselves in a room where there is an unprotected source of heat.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You are going to hear a conversation between a tutor and two students about their presentation. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Okay, if you want, we've got some time left for some feedback on your joint presentation today.
Yeah, we can do it now while it's fresh in our minds, if it's okay with Francesca.
It's okay with me.
So, Francesca, how do you think it went?
Well, I was really happy with it actually, but I'm glad it's over. I think the main advantage of doing the presentation was that we both learned quite a lot about training and skills development for the workplace and how they improve people's opportunities in life, especially their job prospects.
And we learnt a lot from actually delivering the presentation as well, which is really useful for the future.
Yeah, that was important too. As I said, I was pleased with it, but if I had to do it all over again, I'd change a few things.
Like what, for instance?
Well, the first thing I do is work on the pace of the talk and make the delivery slower. And I'd keep a clock in front of me so that I was aware of the speed. And the next thing is, the length of the talk. I'd make the presentation time 15 minutes for each of us, because I think 10 minutes each was much too short. If we had given ourselves more time, it would have flowed better.
Yes, I agree. I thought the timing was a bit tight. I'd say maybe even 30 minutes each.
30 minutes might have been a bit long for both you and the audience.
Maybe you're right. 15 minutes each would probably have been better.
And the next thing is the order of the data. I thought the sequence was bad. It could have been a lot better.
Yes. If I had to give some particular advice, I'd say you needed to give yourselves a run-through once or twice using the equipment just to see what it's like. Doing it without preparation like that's not that easy.
No, definitely not. And another thing for me is that we forgot to give out the handouts with the copies of our slides on them for people to take notes. I should have given them out before we started. And one final thing I do is I check that everyone could see the screen properly. I'd make sure the arrangement of the chairs in the room made it easy for everyone to see.
And Jack, what about you? How did you feel about it all?
Well, I agree with Francesca. Yeah, in everything she said. It's very difficult to make the delivery smooth. When I do it again, I'll definitely spend more time practicing to make it run more smoothly.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
But would you add anything to what Francesca said?
Perhaps I'd try to pack less information into the time given. I thought at first it would be the opposite. I was afraid that we'd end up looking foolish. And also, I think I'd spend less time on the information gathering phase, because unless time is devoted to practicing, it'll not be possible to give a good performance.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. Anything else?
Yeah, I get very nervous when I speak in front of people. If I did it again, I'd make sure I practiced speaking out loud and projecting my voice. I think the key for me is learning to steady my nerves.
But you were very calm.
Not inside, I wasn't.
Well, it didn't show.
I think you need the nerves to keep you going. But maybe try to take your mind off it beforehand by exercising or something.
Is that everything?
Yeah?
Okay. Well, you'll be pleased to know the feedback from the class questionnaires was that the presentation was enjoyable, so well done. I have to say that I agree with them.
Oh, thanks.
I'll make a copy for both of you of the questionnaires if you want, and if and when you do give a talk again, you can keep them to refer to.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You are going to hear a part of a lecture about history of money. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
As we continue our series on customs and traditions that influence the values and principles of all societies in the world, today we're going to talk about money. It is easy to think of money as just an economic tool in the world of finance, but it also has a social and psychological dimension. It is woven into the fabric of our society and thinking, and as such has, through history, despite people's criticism of its pursuit, helped lay down the standards and the ethics that govern modern society. First of all, to look at the history of money, we need to ask ourselves what money is. Money is, in fact, an invention of the human mind, which is made possible because we, as human beings, are able to give value to symbols. And money is one of the most important symbols in all societies because it represents the value of goods and services. If we accept any object as money, say a gold coin or a digital bank account balance, both the user and the wider community have to agree to this. So all the money that we use today has not just an economic dimension, but a psychological and a social one as well. Before we look at so-called commodity money, with the introduction of coins and representative money, let's go back to the time of bartering. Before money was invented, bartering was the main way to exchange goods. An individual who had something of value, such as some grain, could directly exchange the grain for another item, which was seen to have an equivalent value, like a small animal or a tool. The seller of the grain, of course, had to find someone who wanted to buy it, and who could offer in return something the seller wanted to buy. There was no common medium of exchange, such as money, into which both seller and buyer could convert the commodities they wanted to trade. So the first stage in the evolution of money was commodity money. This involved accepting objects or commodities, such as grain or metals or animals, as being inherently valuable, so they could be used as a common standard of measure and unit of exchange. People could accept any of these objects as money because they had inherent use value for every individual, and therefore they would be widely accepted by other people. All metals were accepted because they could be easily converted into precious tools, for instance, axes and spades. Metals such as gold and silver also had secondary advantages. They were also easy to identify and visually attractive. Gold, silver, copper, as well as other usable objects such as salt and peppercorns, are categorized as commodity money, since they combine the attributes both of a usable commodity and a symbol. So people accepted foods and metals as money because they were sure of their value to themselves and to other people. Then came metal coins, which were another step in the evolution from usable commodities such as grains to symbolic forms of money. Metal had a use value of its own, but coins became accepted in trade for their symbolic value. They acted as a standard measure for exchanging other goods and services of value, rather than for the use of the metal they contained. The next stage in the evolution of money is that of representative money. Representative money is symbolic money that is based on useful commodities, such as the warehouse receipts issued by the ancient Egyptian grain banks, and more recent forms of paper currency that were backed by gold or silver. The adoption of representative money was a significant evolution in human consciousness. Psychologically, the individual had to transfer the sense of value from a usable material object to an abstract symbol. Socially, groups of people had to agree on the common usage of the same symbol. The invention of representative money then had a profound effect on the evolution of both money and society.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.